me, Lisa, and welcome to another video. Today we will review the book The City of Brass, which I recently finished to read, and there's a lot to say about it. So without any further ado, let's get down to the review. So, The City of Brass. It was really nice because the premise on the cover is be careful what you wish for. And it's by s.a.chackraborty, and I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. And this book started from a very nice premise. The main character is a thief, and to survive she steals money, and what she has as special about her is that she can sense people's illnesses and she can cure people in some ways. Some people she can cure only by being willing to cure them and using her hands. She does it good. She is able to sense that some people are not able to be cured, and she uses her ability to allow herself to steal from those people a certain amount of money that will provide for her for a certain amount of time. And I thought that the premise was super interesting because it's like, I've not seen another book that has as a main protagonist a thief that does it to survive in such a clever way. And one day at the market she sings in her native language because she has the ability to know many languages straight away. Like, she hears them, she already knows them. And so she sings in her native language, and without even knowing how, she summons Deva. And his full name I'm not going to pronounce because it's huge and unpronounceable. So she summons Deva, who is a creature that is made out of fire, and they go together in a journey to Devabdad, which is the city where he was born and where other creatures made from water, made from fire, made from wind are there. He is super duper powerful because he was born before, and we discover afterwards that he is a ghost. He is more material than a ghost, but less human than Nahiri because he doesn't bleed. And it's very nice to see their interactions, and it's very nice to see how much he is stuck inside his old ways. He cannot get out of it, but he is still a charming character. And Nahiri gets to the city and she has to go to the palace. She becomes friends with Ali, which is the second perspective that we get in the book. And becoming friends with him, she starts to see beautiful parts of him, but he will never marry because he is too religious, which is okay, fair, because I wasn't rooting for them anyway. I would have preferred her to stay with Dara. That doesn't go as planned because both of them, both male characters, do lie to her, and so at the end we end up with a trap, and Dara ends up in a bad way and Ali ends up in a bad way, and it's crazy, but it ends on a very kind of negative note. And we have also a kind of glimpse of hope of people that are trying to get over the king and trying to get back to a situation of peace, because what the king does is that the people that are mixed bloods, meaning that they do have maybe human qualities and also magic qualities, he doesn't respect. So he kind of has this whole thing of not treating them well, not granting them any privilege, anything basically. He does take away from them even the security, and he leaves them without any protection, telling stories about them because this goes to fuel his kingdom of tyranny. I thought that the character of the king was interesting, but so, you know, Ambridge quality of I hate you. It was that kind of hatred that I had towards him, because he is clever, yes, but he is also so mean, and he also goes against his own children in the name of the kingdom, which is something that I'm sorry, but no, I don't agree with. We also have the brother, which as well I'm not super duper happy about, because he as well wants his personal interest to be granted before anything else, and when something goes wrong for him, he just stops supporting Ali completely. And Ali as well, he wants to support the rebels because he believes in equal rights, but then does it in such a bad way that he sounds like the most immature person around. And I thought that we discussed it in a book club, that all of the characters were kind of immature because they trust each other very easily despite the setting they're in, and also Dara is kind of trapped in his ancient prejudices, and so it's very strange. And Nahiri as well, she wasn't a good character. Like, she definitely wasn't a good character. I didn't like her as much, and that's what deceived me a bit about this book. I wasn't rooting for them as much as I think I should have been rooting for them. So yeah, that wasn't the best for me, and definitely it could have been better in that sense of making the characters a bit more likable, but it's not necessary. I'm not saying that every book should have likable characters, but they were so unlikable that I didn't root for them as much. So yeah, the three protagonists for me were a bit of a fail, and also the destiny of them all is kind of sad in this first book, and I am not a super fan of these kind of endings, because I think that a book should have a complete ending in its own shape. So a book should end with the last page, not asking and begging you for a read of the next one. I think that you should fall in love with the book, be so intrigued by it that you want to read the next because you want to know more, but not so much so that the author is literally begging for you to care about those characters and to go again into this reality to read it and to know more about it. So I didn't like that about the ending, because it just finishes on such a negative note that you're like, cannot really go up from here, can it? So I'm kind of a bit deceived by it, and I also thought that it was very confusing at times, because these different creatures have names that are from Arabia, and I'm not against it because it was very interesting, but for me, a foreigner that is trying to read something about Cairo and about Arabian traditions, it was really confusing to me because those names made no sense. They are completely unpronounceable, and they were, for me, too similar to one another to remember before a constant repetition of them that made it very hard for me to keep up with the plot for a long time. I also thought that the dual perspective was good, but Ali's chapters in my mind were not as interesting. They really slowed the pace down, and I am aware of the necessity to show the setting in the first book, but I've seen it done masterfully in other romances like Crescent City, the first one of the series. It was so good that I couldn't put it down, and I got all of the setting up that I needed. It was great. Whereas here we have too much politics behind it, I think, because it was going into politics so deep about what they have to do on a political level, which I personally was not super interested by, and in my opinion it really slowed down the pace of the whole narrative, so I wasn't super happy about it. But apart from that, there were really good elements. So I liked the fact that Dara is a slave, and from what he knows is that he has been freed. From what he knows, but from what comes off of the page and came out to me, I didn't think that he was as free as he believed to be, because no one is aware of how he got freed, not even himself. And so it was very hard for me to kind of accept the fact that he had been freed, because at some point he has so many powers that no one was aware of before that, that either he has been lying to Nahiri for all the time, saying that he wasn't able to do things that he actually was able to do, like even reading the mind or separating waters like Jesus. It's just crazy. And other hand, we had the idea in the book club that he could be Nahiri's slave without her knowing, and so the more powerful she gets, the more powerful he gets. And I don't know, that was such a nice twist if that will be the case, but at the same time not that enthusiastic, because I don't know, it would be sad that they actually like each other and they end up being one or the other one's slave. It would be bad, but at the same time it would give her the possibility to free him, which would be good as an overall. I don't know, I'm very confused about it. I told you everything that I thought about it, and I know without having read it perhaps it's not as clear, but believe me, it's gonna be a nice read, but at the same time I think that it could have done more. So I'm kind of not super intrigued about going into the second book, and I will take a pause from the series, but at some point I think that I will read the second and third book and see where they end up and if they make this series worth reading. So I hope that you enjoyed this book review from me. Tell me in the comments below if you plan on reading the series, or if you have read the series and have had completely different opinions from mine or similar. And subscribe to the channel and like the video, and we will see each other in the next one. Bye guys!